Hey, what's up? I'm Amin Dhillon, and welcome to my podcast. I'm sitting down with the movers and shakers and the stars to chat about life, love, business, and being a total boss. It's raw, it's candid, it's the stories behind the headlines. This is In Conversation. BAMBI BAINS, welcome to the podcast.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing?
I'm very well, actually. During the whole pandemic, didn't think I'd survive, but it's been good, actually. It's been nice.
How's the experience been like being at home? Like, what have you been up to?
I think, it was quite stressful at the start because I didn't know what was going to happen work-wise. Like, all gigs have been cancelled, lots of work in general, and for everyone, right? So it's quite a scary period of time, but it's given me an opportunity to slow down a bit and really focus on learning new skills, learning how to cook, producing music. So I've really taught myself a lot in this period, which has been great. And that's it. You're not distracted by seeing other people, meeting, seeing friends. So all you have to do is focus on the things that you want to put out there. So it's been good for me, I think.
Yeah. So what was 2020 supposed to look for you? So let's say January, when you were like figuring out your year. I don't know if you set goals for yourself. Can you give us an idea of what the year was supposed to look like for you?
Well, it was basically the year where I started to launch music after so long. So I had so much planned, with releasing every month, and at the back of that doing shows constantly, which has now been put on hold. So that's the annoying thing, because I've spent the past 3 years really working up to this point.
Yeah.
And then for this crisis to come, it's just like, oh no, what do we do?
Yeah.
But it's okay. Patience is a virtue. There's still time.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get to the new single that you released. It's cool that you still decided to release it because I know some artists were struggling with that decision, but I'm like,
Mm.
everyone's home.
Yeah.
Release your music. Like, we have nowhere to go but to consume. So I'm glad you did it. I'm going to talk about that, but I want to start off at the beginning because I think, first of all, this is the first time we finally get to chat. But
Yeah.
your story is just so interesting because you don't really see too many female artists, especially in the Punjabi music scene. Like, as much as we have, I think, improved, you started off in a time when you really didn't have a lot, especially women that weren't from India. So let's go back to the
Yeah.
story where it all began. So growing up, you were actually a backup dancer, right?
Yes, that's right. So I started dancing, doing Bhangra dancing since I was 8 years old, which was going to school and having friends that were interested in the same thing. So I ended up joining the group, and it took a few years to learn and get the gist of it. And then we decided to do music videos. So we formed a group called Baleshava, and we were doing so many. I think I was like 15, no, 14 years old when I started doing that.
Wow.
So very young. You probably catch me in some videos with braces and quite chubby and completely different, but it's like my growing up stage, which is quite cool. And it was just a really fun experience doing something like that at that age. It's not something I planned to do, but I fell into it and I fell in love with it.
So can you name some of the music videos we would see you? Because everyone's going to now go back and watch. You know that,
Ah,
right?
so I need to think now. So there's PBN Fit Demo, where I'm wearing a blue silver suit.
Okay.
What else is there? There is uh, it's gone off my head now.
Okay. After this
Should have
interview,
made a
send me
list.
some of the links. Then I'll post the link so people can go back and
Yeah.
watch it. Because that would be really
All
cool to
right.
see a 14-year-old you dancing behind some artists. That's cool.
Yeah. I'll put together some links for you to share.
That'd be amazing. So then when you were doing that, what were you thinking your future looked like?
I mean, it was just a side hobby. So I was still studying. I was still in school. So it was literally just a hobby. Twice a week I'd train, and I just really enjoyed it. Not thinking that I was going to do it professionally or anything like that. I was literally going with the flow and just enjoying the whole experience. So at that age, I never had anything planned out. Literally
Oh, you had
nothing.
no idea, like, okay, after I graduate, this is what I want to be when I grow up. You had no idea.
I always wanted to sing.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I always envisioned myself being on stage and singing and all this stuff, but not actually thinking it would actually come true. It's just a dream that I'm now living. So very grateful for it.
I know. When did you first discover you could sing?
So in school assemblies, we would sing lots of hymns and gospel, and my family are quite musical in the sense that they all listen to different styles of music. So my dad loves trance music and house music. My brother loves rap. My uncle loves pop. My mum loves Punjabi music. So I've grown up loving all styles, anything that sounds good to me. So when I got into school and I was singing, it was just like this natural hype. Like I felt really happy singing, like I really enjoyed it, but not thinking I could actually sing, if that makes sense. And then from that, my teacher forced me into joining a choir group because she said that you have a really good talent. And at the time, I didn't believe it. I was just like, no, it's just a hobby. I don't want to be a singer. Come on. And I started to join her choir lessons, going every week. The more I went, the more I fell in love. And I was like, okay, I want to be a singer because it just does something to my soul. And I stuck with it ever since.
So you actually could tell, you're like, hey, I actually can sing. Because like all of us sing,
Yeah,
right? All of us sing in the car, all of us sing in the shower, right? We all think in our own head,
yeah,
we're not bad. But like to be actually
yeah,
recognize that you could go on stage and perform, you knew from the beginning, you're
yeah,
like, I actually have a gift.
yeah. I think, and when so many people are fans of your voice, it kind of confirms it, because it's one thing believing in yourself, and another thing having so many people tell you, "What are you doing? You're so good at this.
Yeah,
Take it seriously." And then it makes you think, maybe I should do it.
for sure. Who were you listening to growing up?
I I always used to watch music videos, but ever since, like even till this day, always. Like, I don't watch TV, only music videos. So the people that inspired me when I was growing up was obviously Michael Jackson, Destiny's Child, um, Total, uh, Justin Timberlake, so many of those old school artists, and people like Mariah Carey and all this stuff. So I was just a big fan of what was popping back then, like especially the 90s and 2000s. It really kind of motivates you and it inspires you as well.
Mhm. Was there one artist that you would watch in the music videos and you were like, I would love to be her?
Beyonce,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Everybody
She's
wants to
just,
be Beyonce.
it just, in all aspects, like she's got the package. She's very hardworking. I've actually watched, well, we all have seen her grow from a very young age and to what she is now. So that is just very inspiring for me, because you can't just start from the top. You have to start, somewhere down here. And to see her grow and grow and grow and be so dedicated to it, that for me was like, that's who I idolize musically.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, so then let's talk about actually then getting your big break.
At the back of dancing and music videos, I met PBN, and it was actually for the Fig Day Move video where he heard me singing whilst I went to the bathroom. And I walked out with one of my fellow dancers, and PBN came up and he's like, "Who was that singing just then?" And my friend was like, "It's Bambi." And I was like, "No, it wasn't." I was so shy, like I would never sing in front of anyone. And I still get quite shy now, to be fair. But he was like, "You've got such a good voice." He's like, "I'm actually looking to sign people because I need some fresh people to work with." And I was like, "Don't lie." I was like, "Okay, then, okay." he so then we organized a meeting. I think I was around 16 years old at this time, and we were just talking about how we can move forward, what what kind of artist I want to be, because I was training in gospel and soul R&B. That was always my forte. So I said to him that I've never sang a Punjabi song in my whole life. So I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm ready to give it a go. And then we got into the studio. He had some lyrics ready. He had a beat ready, and he said, "I want you to sing this song." So I took some time to relearn it, listening to Miss Pooja and how they sing, because singing in Punjabi is completely different to, English.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot I had to learn, but I picked it up really quickly, which was good. So the whole experience was amazing. And then signing my first deal with PBN was actually like, I was smiling every day thinking, this is it, this is it. It was amazing.
Yeah. So then what was it like? So he discovers you, he launches you,
Mhm.
and then you go from just
Yeah.
a shy girl who's basically behind the scenes, kind of in the music videos, to now suddenly being front and center. Was that an easy transition for you?
It was, I think it was, I had to learn so much along the way because as an artist and being so young and naive, you're not meant to know it all. So there's a lot I've learned in the industry. But I guess because I was always used to performing and I loved entertaining people, it was more of an enjoyable experience. So I was literally going with the flow, really accepting to learn, and that's it. It felt like home to me. So when I perform on stage, it literally felt like this is what I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
It's just felt real.
Do you remember your first big performance? Like, what was it like?
My first big, well, my first big tour abroad was in San Jose in America. That I will never forget. I remember when we got there, we got to the hotel, and I was by myself. I dropped on the bed and I was crying, like with happiness, just thinking, what the hell? Like, I'm 17, I'm in San Jose. Beyonce is actually performing at the opposite venue.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it was just like a really weird experience. And I was like, thank you, God, thank you. I was like, it was just such a good feeling knowing that, wow, I've really come a long way and I'm living my dream. And this doesn't happen to a lot of people. So I'm very fortunate to be in this position. But I'll never forget that feeling.
What was PBN like as a mentor?
He was great. He taught me a lot with just the industry. Of course, it's hard because it's very male dominated, and sometimes I didn't know how to handle people. Sometimes, like I'd go to gigs and then I'll be the only girl there. There'd be lots of guys drinking, doing all this stuff, and I didn't do any of that back then. And it was just a really weird experience knowing that you have to just deal with it and just keep a good, strong head on your shoulders. So he always guided me in that sense, like, you know, just be professional, do your best. And he was, yeah, he was a really good mentor.
You were so young though. Like, I'm just picturing you in a foreign country at 17 by yourself. I mean, like,
Yeah.
was it safe? Like, was your family okay with it?
It's a funny story. Like, the only person that really supported me was my older brother. My whole family were disagreeing to me becoming a singer because it's not a real job. And being an Asian culture and being a female, it's like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I kept saying, like, I'm not doing this for fun. It's a profession. I really believe I can excel. You just have to trust me on this. Like, I'm not going to be stupid and do crazy things. I'm literally in it for the long run. And the thing is, they don't understand until they see your success and they see that you're really working hard. And when that's when my mum was like, fair play. And now she's so proud. Like, she'll call her cousins and she'll be like, oh, Bambi's new song is out, check it out. And it's just weird to see that. So when I went to America, at that time, everyone was like, you can't go there. Like, you're really young. You know, they're obviously afraid. But I came back, I showed them all the videos, and then they're like, okay, I'm glad you had fun.
What was that moment when your family was like, oh my God, like, we totally get it now? Like, was there a specific performance or a song that you saw the attitude change?
It was actually the release of my first song. So I didn't even tell my mum that I was releasing a song, just
Really?
because I knew that she was so against it. And my mum's like, she's Amritari, right? She's really religious, and being from Punjab, she's quite traditional. So the way she's been brought up is a certain way, which I understand. And that's why I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to show her what I've been doing, rather than be like, Mom, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Instead of saying, I'm going to, here's what I've done. How do you feel about it? And so when that song released, I showed her the video and she was just looking at me like, and she got a call from her cousins in America and Canada saying, has your daughter just released a song? I've just seen her on TV. And my mum had a slight smile on her face. She was like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, you should be so proud. Like, she's done a really good job. She was scared that they were going to say, what is your daughter doing? Like, how have you raised her? Why is she doing this? But it was so positive that it made her think, actually, it's not such a bad thing after all. And I think that's what made her switch.
That's amazing. So mom was like the biggest critic, the person that we had to win over,
Yeah.
right? Everyone else was a little bit
Well,
easier?
my mom and my grandma. Yeah.
I love the way it's the women in the family.
Oh my God. But it's just how it is, isn't it? In it being in India, and people used to see female artists as, I'm not going to say, but bad people and doing it for the wrong attention, which I understand, but I'm just doing it because I love it and I think I have an opportunity. So now they fully support me, which is good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's fast forward then. So how long were you officially part of PBN's team?
I'd say since I was 16 till around 18 or 19.
Okay,
So about 2 or 3 years.
okay.
Yeah.
And then that decision then to branch out, tell us about that. Did something happen?
I think I just wanted change. I think I had no real artist input in my music. And being an artist, whatever creativity is flowing through your mind, you should feel free to put it down and show it to the world. And I guess with my songs, I never really had an input in the creative process. It was more like, here's the lyrics, here's the beat, sing the song. It's going to be a big hit. And it got to a point where I was like, but I don't feel like I'm enjoying my songs because I haven't put any of my input into it. I can sing a song, but I want to be able to write the song. I want to be able to share my emotions in a song, what I'm going through, my journeys. And I think that's when you make the best music. And I just decided to leave because I wanted to do more. I wanted to do mainstream as well. So that's when I joined a girl band. I was auditioning for the girl band. And it was just such a nice experience for me because you get to a point in your life where you're working somewhere you don't like it, you want change, or you just want to grow. And that's kind of where I was at.
So tell me the story, because I think for most people, when they kind of get their first big break or first like mentor, it's really scary to like move on because you're like, they're the person that kind of made me who I am. So am I going to be okay on my own? So when you were deciding, okay, I'm going to now venture out on my own, tell me that story about what were you thinking? Were you scared? Did you already have a plan in mind? And then how did you even get a part of this girl band? Which, by the way, I never got a chance to see you guys here, but I watched you guys perform. It was so cool. You guys were really good.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I mean, during that time, it was a very scary experience for me because I had no plans. It was literally like, I'm going to end up leaving this group. I don't have a plan. Or I'm not signed to anyone. Yeah. There's no one I'm looking to work with. I just need to figure it out. And I guess I've always done that my whole life. I just throw myself into the deep end and deal with it. But I think it's a good thing because it makes you stronger and you learn so much throughout that process rather than having something ready and you just go into that. But I don't know, it just felt right for me to just expand a bit and meet new people, do something in a different industry, get some experience, and you can always do two, right? So, I mean, I've still got my space in the Asian music industry. I'm very grateful that there's a lot of people that I keep in touch with, people want to work with me, so I've got a solid foundation here. But as an Asian female artist, why not do something that's so hard to do? Like Jay Sean, the only Indian singer in mainstream. I think it's amazing. That for me is inspiring. So I've always been like, if you don't do it, it'll never happen. So I was like, right, Bambi, you're just going to have to do it and just hope for the best.
Okay. So then how did that opportunity to join the girl band happen? Did you already know the girls or did you see an audition?
No. So I got a call from someone in the industry who does PR and he manages some artists as well. And he just called me out of the blue and said, are you interested in joining a girl group? At the start, I was like, I don't know. I've never been in a girl band before. I'm happy to audition. It's not really what I was looking to do. But he said that there's a big opportunity. There's an A&R guy who's looking to form not like the Let's Little Mix, but something a bit more edgy, a bit more like R&B, rap, that kind of stuff. And that's what the UK was missing from a girl group. So I thought that would be quite interesting. And it could kind of be my gateway into that industry, because I can't just call up Simon Cowell and be like, can you sign me, right? It doesn't work like that. So you have to kind of do these little things to get to where you need to be. And so I went to London and auditioned for this girl group. And this guy auditioned up and down the UK, probably like 2,000 people. And I was one of 4 that got into it, which was just like, I can't turn this down. And then I met all the girls, and they were all so lovely. They were just really, really easy to get on with. You learn so much from them, and it's like having sisters. So I'm glad I took that step.
Mm-hmm. So what was that experience like? You go from now working with pretty much all men to now being part of a girl group. What was that like?
Yeah. So I say this to people all the time. So I've literally gone from being in a team with 2 guys, well, it used to be 3 guys, to now, well, and in a male-dominated industry, to now being in a group with girls every day, which I love, by the way. But that transition is so different, because when you work with men and women, you learn different things. But I was always cool. Like I just accepted everything, really, analyzed everything, and just went with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much I learned from both industries.
What would you do? Because you mentioned before you wanted more creative input. So now I'm picturing you a part of this girl group. You're one of 4. There was 4, I think, members, right? Yeah. But now you all are supposed to make decisions together. So how was that? Like, did you find you easily agreed and knew kind of what you wanted, or was there a lot of disagreement and butting heads?
Oh, of course. There's always, if you're in a team with people and you're all at equal level and everyone has different ideas and inputs, there will be disagreements. It's normal. It can't be like, hi guys, I've got this idea. I'm not expecting everyone to say yes. And that's fine, right? Because everyone likes different things. So of course there were disagreements on what words we should put into this song, or what style this song should be, or who should sing this part. There was a bit of that, but it wasn't to a point where we'd argue about it. It was very amicable, which is good. Mm-hmm. But we were very accepting. So if someone had an idea and someone disagreed, they would say, how about we try this? How do you feel about it? Rather than, no, this is what I want to do. No, this is what I want to do. It was nothing like that.
Okay, well, that's good.
It's normal. I would have expected disagreements.
Yeah. Well, I know you just mentioned you really wanted to have input. So I'm like, I hope you had a chance to say, hey, ladies, this is what I bring to the table, as opposed to, again, experiencing maybe less control.
Yeah. I mean, we all had our own opportunities. So our manager at the time, he told us 4 to go into separate studios and make our own song. And so what we did was, for a whole week, we were working on our own material, not knowing what each other were doing, because he just wanted to see what we come out with and who relates to what. That was a really good thing that he did, because we ended up coming out and showing each other what we just produced, and they all sounded similar and amazing. So we were all on the same page. So when we were making songs together, it was so organic and natural. Mm-hmm. It was really easy process, because we all wanted the same thing.
Yeah. What was the highlight? Because I know I saw your audition in front of Simon Cowell, and he's a hard person to sing in front of, and he loved it. So I'm like, that must have been such a cool experience, but I'm sure you had so many other ones. So what was the highlight for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, because we never thought of going on Britain's Got Talent, well, any talent show. We literally formed a group, and by this point we were together for a whole year. So our manager was the one who said, do you guys want to go into Britain's Got Talent so that you can get some exposure, just to get yourself a platform, which was a good idea, because you either do it the long way or just get recognized a bit and see what your response is from the outer world. And then we decided to do our first audition. Very nerve-wracking, because you're on TV in front of the whole world, it's mainstream, and you've got Simon Cowell, who judges everyone harshly. But we were very fortunate that everyone loved it. So it was nice to see that.
That is really cool. How long were you part of the girl group officially?
So I think it was 2.5 years we were together. Mm-hmm. It just took a lot of time trying to understand what characters we were. So there's 4 of us. One of them's like fiance, like very wild and all this. Then you've got another one who's got lots of attitude, but really cool. There's the youngest one who's very cute and bubbly. And there was me who was like the big sister. So we had like our own characters, but it's all about getting to know each other. And I think after Britain's Got Talent, we were still working, but it was just difficult to get gigs and stuff like that because it didn't really lift off as much as we thought. So we got to the live semi-finals, which is a big step for us. And at the back of that, we were kind of expecting to get more exposure and get some deals and stuff, but it just didn't happen. So then we decided to part ways because it wasn't getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still in touch, so it wasn't any hard feelings or anything like that. But I was still getting my own stuff regularly anyway. So I just thought I need to invest in my own stuff because time's ticking and I really need to get out there. So that's what it was really.
What do you mean by your own stuff? So while you're in the girl group, were you releasing your own solo music?
So I was performing as a solo artist. But whilst I was with the girl band, I wasn't allowed to do that because the contract was just to be in the group. And so it was hard for me because I wasn't getting any income because we weren't gigging. We were just in the studio all the time. And I was like, guys, like I really need to take this seriously because you've got to earn, right? Everyone in this world has to earn.
Of course.
So I was like, I just have to really do my own thing because I was gigging a lot by myself and then I had to turn it all down. But yeah, ever since I've been gigging again. So it's a good thing that I did that.
So after you left, then again, you're kind of starting fresh again, right? So again, were you a little bit now this time more confident being on your own versus when you first left PBN, or was it again a scary decision?
I think I was more confident this time.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know why, but I was definitely like, I can do this because at this point I've learnt so much from both industries, how to work, who I am, what do I want to put out there. It was just like every step of my life was necessary to get to this point. Like I look back and there's obviously highs and ups and downs, but it's a good thing. This is what makes you grow and really understand yourself as an individual as well. And I was like, now I've got a plan of what I actually want to put out there as a soloist. I don't have to answer to anyone or ask questions. This is who I am. This is what I believe I should do as an artist and just put it out there.
Of course. And actually, I really think that's something important for all artists. The number one thing I've heard from a lot of them is they struggle with the image that, let's say, their record label or their management wants for them versus what they want. So that's why I do think when you're independent, it is scary, but I think worthwhile in the end.
Oh, 100%. Like I speak to people who are signed and I mean, I've been through it myself. Like it's like you're a product, right? And they're molding you rather than you having the ability to say, this is what I think I am, what I feel comfortable being like this. Because you can't be something you're not. It's because people can see straight through it and you won't perform to your best ability. And that's how I kind of felt. But now I know who I am, what kind of music I want to write or make. And I just feel good about it. And as an artist, I feel free. And this is what everyone should have, you know.
I completely agree.
But it's totally normal. Like big artists that you see who are signed to labels, I don't know, it's like they're made to fit a certain way. But I do understand why they do it as well. But it's just not me.
Okay, so you branched out on your own and you were already saying you kind of had a better idea of the artist you wanted to be and you knew how to define yourself. So can you tell us, when you left and you were sitting down and going, okay, who is BAMBI BAINS as an artist? What was that image? What did you envision in terms of music and your image?
So I think for me, I believe that I'm really good at doing urban Asian music. So rather than just doing Punjabi, like folk music, rather than just doing full English, why not merge the two? Because I am both. I'm British, I'm Indian, I can sing both. Why not put it together and create something amazing? So that's literally what I've been working on the past 3 years, is some really cool urban Asian music. So the last song that I released was English, but that's just a COVID release. But there's so much that I'm excited to put out there, which I think the newer generation, especially the Asian community, are going to love. It's fresh. So yeah, I feel like I'm in a really good place now.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is me. This is my art, and you're gonna hear it.
That's so good. So I'm trying to get an idea of what you're going to be releasing. So I've obviously heard your hardcore Punjabi stuff. I've heard your all English stuff, and you're saying you want to kind of balance both. So is it going to be literally a fusion of both? You're going to hear like English and Punjabi, or what would it look like?
Yeah, I think it's hard because I've never put anything like that out there. So it's hard for anyone to know what it's going to be, which I get. But it's so I guess it's like, let's say, trap music with Indian influences, and then singing in English, but also singing in Punjabi. But it sounds weird when I say it like that, because it sounds a bit confusing. But when you listen to it, it's like a movement. It actually gels well together. And I mean, there's artists out there now that are doing that already, the whole urban Asian stuff, and I really love it. I think it's cool.
Bambi, you said you worked on this new music for about 3 years, and that's a really long time. So during that time, what was going on? Were you just 100% dedicated to making new music, or were you finding that you were going through periods where maybe you didn't have inspiration, or you really weren't sure what direction you're going in?
Oh, of course. There were times where I was confused, I was demotivated, and it's so normal as human beings that you'll never always be like go, 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 creative. It's impossible. There will be times where you want to give up, or you're like, I can't do this, or this doesn't sound good enough. And I speak behalf of all artists, that they've always come to a point in their lives where they just don't really believe in what they're creating sometimes. Not all the time, but there were periods where I was making a lot of songs and sometimes it didn't sound right. I was like, I don't really want to release this, but it's all a work in progress. So you can't just make a song and expect it to be a hit. You've got to really work with different people, understand them, and it's all about who you work with as well. Like if you have a good relationship and you really gel with what they do, then it'll be a good outcome. But it takes time going through it all. So 3 years is a long time, but there's so much that I've learned from that, and knowing what kind of music I wanted to create, and certain producers that I didn't really work well with, to now having producers that I really work well with, and there's just so much fire coming out of it.
Who are you working with to get all this music going?
So there's a lot of people. There's people in India that I'm in touch with. The song that I released with Lion recently, he's actually in London too, so it's easy for us to work together. He's done a lot of my music, and we've done things that are full English from the start, just to see how we get on with it, to now producing the whole urban Asian stuff. And because he's so young as well, like he's really with the times and like what's really working. Really cool guy to work with. There's a few other people not well known, but they're really good at what they do. And I like to work with people not because of their status, but how well I work with them. Because if the song is good, it's going to do well regardless.
So are you working with people that you've already worked with, or are you working with maybe newcomers that you either are meeting or coming across?
Yeah, there are people that I've worked with before, but there are also people who aren't well known or really want to get out there too. So I'm giving them an opportunity to work with me, producers, artists, because it's happened to me, and I know that it's a good feeling. Like, what can I do to give that to them? Because everyone deserves an opportunity. So if I see someone who is not well known, but you can see that they're grinding and they really want it and they're so talented, I want to work with them, because it's not about name for me.
So how do people pitch you? Like, do you find you're getting a lot of new talent emailing you or DMing you and trying to get discovered by you?
I think it's usually when I go to events.
Okay.
That's where it really happens. So if I'm out and there's people that recognize me and they're singers or they're aspiring singers, they will be like, oh, it's nice to meet you, I'm a big fan, and here's my music, do you want to listen to it? So I'll be like, of course. Then we'll listen to it, and then if I like it, I'll be like, well, why don't we get in the studio and try working on something? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. at least it's an experience for you. And I just think, why not? Because everyone's independent nowadays. So as long as the music sounds good, who cares who it is, right?
Exactly. So I just wanted to know your thoughts about the industry. Do you still feel like it's quite supportive of each other and people are wanting to work together and bring each other up? Or do you feel like everyone's kind of now doing their own thing and it's almost like competitive?
I actually think that it's come together now more than ever before. I think it was more segregated before. Um, yeah, I think with the UK there's always a lot of jealousy and hate, and I saw it with my own eyes, right? Like it's just a lot of people envying each other, and it's not a good thing. Like, you're meant to just, why not just work together? And that's why I went out to Canada and I made a song with Prophecy, because I thought he's super creative. I really respect him as an artist. I want to make a song with him. And then we did, and it's done really well. And I think now, like, North America, Canadians, they're all doing so well. Like the likes of Mickey Singh, Amasandu, Prophecy, there's so much more. There, you can see that they work so hard and they're bringing music out like there's no tomorrow, and they're all so good. Um, they're even collaborating with a lot of people in the UK, which is what I'm seeing. There's literally no hate. Like, everyone's just in it for music and they just want to put out good music,
That's
which
amazing.
is a relief. It's so good to see that.
What about the scene for women artists, though? Do you feel like it's improved?
I think not drastically. So I'd say there's about 4 or 5 girls now. There might be more, but none that I hear of. Um, it's still very low on females, but I know that they're coming out. Eventually they'll come out because there's so much talent now.
Yeah.
And you have people who um, set the platforms and they see them doing it, so it kind of motivates them to want to do it too. Because it's hard to do something where you feel like you don't belong there until you see someone like yourself, i.e. a female, doing it. It kind of pushes you a bit. And I get messages all the time. They're like, "You're a female artist and you really inspire me to want to do this," which is absolutely amazing. So I think, it will come out. It's getting there.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I was going to say that I feel like we need to see more Asian female artists that are actually
Yeah.
headliners, that are actually running the
Mm,
show. And I just feel like it is still very male dominated. And I just don't understand
yeah.
why there's still these barriers. Like, that's why I think it's great that you're a role model for these women. But why do you think it's still such a hard time for women to break in?
I think it's usually down to confidence, and also families' consent. I think there's still backlash from families not agreeing to females singing, like what I went through. There's confidence, is not believing in yourself. Like, I hear people say that I like what I do, but I don't think I'm good enough. So they just end up forgetting it and going back to their normal day jobs. But it's a shame to see that, really. But I think when you see that you have a talent and you genuinely believe that you can do well, you just have to go for it, and you have to be ready to risk it all, because if you don't do that, you're not going to get it.
Okay. So, what advice would you have? So, when these women are going up to you and saying, "Bambi, like, I have a dream, I want to be a singer, but I don't know how to do it," what would be your advice for women?
I think I'll just share my story, because I've been through it, and they're most likely going through the same thing that I have. So I think, because I've lived it and I've had that experience, for me to share my story to them will probably make them think, well, actually, if she can do it, why can't I do it? So yeah, you just gotta just go for it. Like, do it. This is what you're here for. God's giving you this talent. Just do it.
Music industry for most people it's very unstable and it's a very like
Mm,
just even knock on the door it's I feel like yeah they do allow newcomers to come in but I feel like because there's a lot of money on the line people still prefer to work with
yeah,
people that are established so I do feel like there's pros and cons but then you have YouTube which has really made it easy for people to get discovered so then I'm like I mean had
yeah.
you been growing up now, let's say you were 16 now,
Mm,
I'm sure if you could have done some YouTube covers, maybe you could have like been
yeah.
discovered that way.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, it's like Justin Bieber and so many artists that were discovered, and look how big they are now from being not recognized at all. So I think now is actually a good time because so many artists are independent. And why? Because of the power of social media, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube. If you're putting things out consistently, guarantee you it will get heard because you're starting movement. And there will be people out there who love what you do. You'll get haters, and that's normal, but who cares? It's part of life. But now's a really good opportunity. Like, you don't even need a label, you don't need a manager. Just educate yourself on how to release music, do the work, and just keep putting out. And you don't really need a lot of money to do it either. You can really do things on a low budget now, which are good.
Yeah. So I've seen some of your Instagram stories where it looks like you are now writing, you're producing the beats, you're obviously singing.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sounds like you're wearing multiple hats now with the upcoming music, right?
Yeah. So I think I've always had this passion for making beats, but I never took any courses or anything. It's like I always co-produce. So if I'm with an actual producer, I would say, do this in this key, or I play instruments too. So that kind of helps. So then I'll show them, they'll be like, I can't actually put it into the computer, so you're going to have to do that. But here's what I have in my head. What do you think? So I've always co-produced, but during COVID, I thought, right, there's nothing else I can do. What can I learn? So I bought myself like a MIDI keyboard, which you connect to your laptop. And I spent 2 whole weeks every single day, from really early in the morning to really late at night, just watching and learning, going on masterclass, teaching myself how to do certain little things. And boy, there's so much more I still need to learn. But when I was making the songs, I showed my partner, and he was like, oh my God, I didn't think it was going to be that good. Because he didn't know that I could produce. And I was making this music, and I was like, why did you not do this before? Like, you could have been a pro by now. But I'm enjoying the whole process. Like, making beats is like, it's my passion, and I'm so glad that I've learned to do this now.
Yeah, that's why it's really great, I think, for artists to get involved in the making of it, because again, you have control and it just opens up so many more doors. So I want to hear your new music. When are we going to hear like another new single? We need more of it. Bambi, release it.
It's coming. It's coming. I think I just have to put on hold a little while until we can start gigging and stuff like that, because I want it to be an enjoyable experience where I'm releasing a song and I get to perform it live. I think that's usually the fun part. Otherwise, it's pointless just releasing music and then sitting at home, and I don't know. I want to do it properly. So it just really depends on the pandemic.
But do you think this year that'll happen? Because I know London has opened up, right?
Yeah.
So do you think maybe by the end of the year, will you be gigging? Like, what's the feeling like in the community?
They've said that it will take at least a year to find a vaccine for the situation, right? Because it's opened up, but if you're having a festival, there's no way they're going to allow so many people in one area. I just think that's like COVID central. So I'm guessing that it probably won't happen until another year.
Bambi, are you going to make us wait a year to hear your new music?
I mean, I'll release stuff, but that's the thing. I think because this whole pandemic's hit so last minute, I haven't really thought about what to do. Like, I'm still working on it. But I think in this time, I'm just making more and more music. That's all I can really do. But I'll probably put out some stuff for sure.
Okay, so for the fans that are watching this right now, we just have to wait. There's no idea of when they can get some new music from you.
Hopefully not too long. No, it's coming.
Okay, as long as we get something, because I really am curious to see how as an artist you've grown. And so that's why, because you're learning, you already have so much experience, I'm like, Bambi, like, what is she like now? So, I mean, I heard your single, Oh Na Na, but I'm like, it's just a taste. I'm like, I want more. I want to really see, like, especially since you're songwriting, I want to know, like, what you're singing about, what inspires you, what do you feel passionate about?
Yeah, it's all coming. And Oh Na Na is so different to all the stuff that I've been making.
Yeah.
That song I actually recorded 2 years ago.
What?
So, yeah. There's so much in my bank. that is waiting to come out. But this is the thing, like, I like to have so much ready so that when I put it out there, I'm not waiting to make another song. It's always hard picking what song to release in what order and when to release it. But yeah, it's all coming.
Okay, so let's then figure out where you see yourself an artist. So I always like to do goals. So I know this year you're kind of on hold, but let's say in the next
Mhm.
couple of years, what are you hoping to accomplish? Where do you see yourself?
I just want to have something solid, whatever that means, just doing music, well, performing constantly around the world, making it a day job, making it, just putting my name out there a bit more. So I'd love to hit the Indian market. I'd love to just be performing like relentlessly. I think that for me is the goal, and just having a solid foundation as an artist.
Any chance that we'll see you singing in Bollywood films or maybe Punjabi films?
I mean, I'd love to. I think it's, you have to have the music ready to show these people who are making these movies or these labels, so that they would know if it fits into that film or that song. But it's a very hard step getting to that point, because Bollywood is like the biggest industry in the whole world. It's bigger than mainstream, right? So I think if I went to India and I met with so many different people, I think there may be an opportunity for me to get there. But right now, it's really hard. Like I've been talking to a lot of people who are really connected in that area. But this whole pandemic has really like put things on hold. But I have the opportunity. So once this is all over, I will be doing things like that. And hopefully I may make a song in Bollywood. Who knows? That's
Yeah.
definitely the dream.
I would love to see you
Yeah.
posting from India. I think that would be just really cool because there's so much opportunity. So it'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
how they react to you.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people in India who say you need to go Indian, man. You'll blow. You're like, I was like, yep, that was on my bucket list this year, but hey ho, I'm just gonna have to wait.
We're gonna continue on with music. Do you think eventually you'll get into just being like a producer or even maybe a manager? Or is it always the goal is to be front and center as an artist only?
When I was starting music, I obviously envisioned myself as an artist and doing it like for as long as I can. But I've always liked mentoring people as well. So I love giving advice. I love knowing that I've helped someone. It's just a really nice, fulfilling thing for me. So I'm hoping that if I get to a point where I'm super, super successful, I have an opportunity to maybe make my own record label and
Yeah.
bring in young female Asian artists. You know, that's always been a big goal. But to get there, I need to be really like super established myself, because I'm still working on myself at this moment. So I can't, you know, give that opportunity too much right now. But I'm hoping that if I do get there, I would love to set up a label and really push for more young female Asian artists.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. Because honestly, I feel like we're lacking not only female artists, but also female producers, female executives,
Mhm.
female talent managers. I'm like,
Yeah,
when you have more women in the industry overall, it makes it more equal for everyone. And also, it just allows for women to feel more comfortable making music their full time career. So I definitely think there's a huge opportunity for you to just own the game.
yeah. I mean, it would be a nice thing knowing that you're giving back and you're giving people an opportunity. It's just something that when I get old, it's something I can look back on and be like, I created a movement, and it's a good movement. But let's see, hopefully.
So, Bambi, I want to give some advice. I always like to leave each interview with some advice. So, let's just start off with maybe what were some of the biggest mistakes you made in your music career that you want to make sure other people that are coming up avoid making?
I think not going into things so blindly. I think it's easy to get excited over a deal that's been given to you, or a contract, or someone promising you big dreams, but then them not delivering that. And it's easy when you're young and naive, and you've got this dream and you're thinking, well, if I don't do this, it's not going to happen. Just be really careful about which opportunities come your way, and just be really smart about it. Be open about who you are as an artist. and not let anyone tell you what you should be. I think that's the biggest thing.
What about negotiating your own deals? Because obviously you want to make money. So did you find
Yeah.
that making sure that you were paid what you felt valued, that you were being maybe paid equally to, let's say, a male singer? Like, is that an issue that you want to make sure other women look out for?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's something I also went through, like being paid peanuts, but putting all the work in, but breaches of contracts and all this stuff. Like I've been through it all. And you just have to be strong-headed. And if I look back at myself and I'm like, I was just so like, yes, 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 yes. Okay, it doesn't matter. Don't worry. I was just too nice to people where they took advantage of me in that sense. And as a 16-year-old, you don't know about contracts. You don't know about legal things or how much you should be getting paid or what money's going in, what's coming out, because they don't show you these things, right? And you're just there thinking, well, I'm performing and I should just be grateful for this, which is fine. But my advice would be is to know everything inside out. Really, you can be talented, but learn the business side of music too. Very important.
And if, let's say, somebody's watching this and they want to reach out to you for advice, how is the best way to reach you?
Yeah, I mean, you can send me an email, info@BAMBIBAINS.com, or I can do a question live, Insta live. I could set that up too. So if anyone, it's probably easier because then I can talk about it ongoingly.
Absolutely. We should have done that. Okay, maybe for the next one we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next time.
So I want to finish this interview off with, not only are you like, I think it's just so great that you're doing music and pursuing your passion, but I was telling you before, I love stories, and I know you're engaged. I don't think you're supposed to get married anytime soon, so I don't think we're going to see any wedding stuff online, but I wanted to know the story. Like, I love stories. So what is your love story? How did you and your fiance meet?
So we met through a mutual friend. So the guy who got me into the girl group at the time, we were out one day and he saw my partner from afar. I didn't know him at this point. And he was like, oh, that's my friend. Let's go say hello. So then we ended up meeting my partner and they said hello. And then he looked at me and he was like, you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, I know it sounds like you should be like, oh, but I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm really bad at taking compliments. And it just reminds me of like when you're walking down the street and you see guys honking their horns and saying, oi, oi. And I was just like, that thought was going through my head. And I was like, okay, nice one. And that was literally it. It was like 20-second chat. And then the next day he somehow found me on social media because he didn't know who I was because he's like not in the industry or anything like that. And he just sent me this long essay saying that I really want to take you on a date, blah, 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 blah. And I ignored it for like 2 weeks because from Instagram it went to Facebook, from Facebook it went to Snapchat. And I was like, this guy just will not leave me alone because I don't respond to guys on social media, especially guys that are like, you're hot or you're this. They just don't get a response. And so to me, he was one of them. And then how he's very smart, how he switched it. He said, I have a work opportunity for you. And I was like, oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, what's the work opportunity? And he's like, I want you to model for my company. And I was like, okay, great, let's set up a meeting. But it's really funny because you see all these messages and I don't respond. And then it comes to work and I'm like, okay, well, it's a work opportunity. I'm going to take it. And then we ended up meeting. And this was the time when I was auditioning for the girl group. So this is in 2016. And we were just talking and talking. And by the end of it, I was like, so you do realize that this is a work meeting, like what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I want you to model for my company. Till this day, I've never modeled for his company. So he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like I'm not easily attracted to people. It's more of a mind thing for me. So it takes time for me to grow and really learn about you. And that's what it was with him. Like the more I saw him, the more I saw how genuinely nice he is, and he's very caring. And he's an overall great person. So then I decided, you know what, he's good for me.
And he's very supportive, because I know I've seen when you've been performing, he's like the ultimate like stage manager, like taking videos, and I think even DJing. I think when you performed on that tour, I was like, I love it.
He's a great DJ. So even during lockdown, like he's really been teaching himself how to properly DJ. So he's amazing now. He's like a professional. So it's nice. Like we can do all these things as a duo. Like we help each other out, and it's really important. It's very important to be with someone who supports your career and your dreams, because it's easy to find people who are insecure about what you do, especially the industry I'm in. I'm around people all the time, and it can be hard for a lot of people to tolerate it. But with him, he pushes me like continuously, and that's what you need.
Absolutely. So the advice for guys, if they are crushing on a girl and she blows them off like 10, 20 times, don't give up. Don't give up, because look at you guys.
But they had a work opportunity.
Hey, we got to make that money, honey. Thank you so much. That was really great.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to our interview. I hope you enjoyed it. For more videos, please subscribe to this channel.